Hey, this is Randy Hunt, voice of the Patriots. We're here back with Coach Vickers on Patriot TV. As most fans know, Indy got back on track this week with a convincing win over our cross-county rival Shady Spring. We have to be pretty pleased with the way we played on all three sides of the ball last week. We talked about ball handling, and we did a much better job Friday night, finishing the game with no turnover. So that's a good thing.
Certainly, I mean, we talked about that over the course of the week last week, and how how turnovers and penalties and even special teams can kind of play a huge part in the game. And so we emphasized that, and I think our kids kind of responded, did a really good job with that. And it's certainly nice to get a win against a rival like Shady and kind of get yourself going again. So it's good to be 3-1, and but we got a lot of work to do this week with another tough opponent. But our guys are working hard, and so I think if we kind of do what we're going to work on all week, I think we'll be fine.
Offensively, Friday night, Marcus Guy, who's been a kind of a go-to guy the first couple games, and Robbie Cochran both. They saw limited action. I just saw Robbie out there. He's still got a sling on his arm. Marcus had some problems with his ankle. And, of course, Isaac Trotter was not in the game at all. And so injuries kind of held us down. But at the same time, we had some guys step up. Tyler Haga and Chase Mills, Connor Gibson, all stepped up to the plate. And Connor was a big surprise for us, considering how he left the field the Friday before last on a stretcher, finished with 166 yards on 5 carries and a couple scores. So got to be happy with the way these guys picked up the ball.
Yeah, absolutely. Those guys, played tough. And you can look at Shady's record and think what you want to, but it was a physical game for us. Our kids, we had to block well. We had to run hard. Had to make tackles when we needed to, and I'm proud of them for doing that. Yeah, the game plan with Marcus and Connor, was to use them on defense, where they could kind of control their body a little bit more, and then use them on offense if we needed. Kind of Robbie went down there early on, and so we kind of put Marcus back in there, and he did all right. He kind of he started limping a little bit there, and so we kind of used him sparingly, and we just kind of kept rotating some guys in there. And, Connor said he was fine before the game at school, and, he looked good on defense. And so we just, we threw him in there on offense. And I think the first time, if I'm correct, maybe the first time he touched the ball, he went 90 yards. One of the early times he touched it. So it's certainly good to be able to have weapons like that and to use them when you can. And one guy that really stepped up in Isaac Trotter's absence was Logan Muncie. He had a great game. I think he had 2 or 3 sacks in the first half and like 6 or 7 tackles throughout the game. So he did step up there. But those linemen have been playing great for us on offense all year as well. Anyway, so it really was a team effort on Friday, and we certainly may need all those guys again this Friday.
And, of course, Noah Adams, he's becoming just kind of a regular thing for him to hit the 100-yard mark. He had 11 carries last week, 132 yards. He's averaging 100 yards a game. He's kind of just becoming a horse that we can ride every week. He's strong, and he seems like he's just ready for it.
Yeah, I mean, Noah's he's very coachable. He'll do what you ask him to do. He understands what we're trying to do offensively and defensively. And he runs offensively. He runs the ball really hard. He's got great balance. Of course, you would expect for a wrestler to have great balance, and he's able to extend some plays a lot of times. And he's got a great hands and great arm length, and got a really good wingspan, and he uses a stiff arm to his advantage really well. So he's a tough runner. I mean, I think he's averaging right at 8.5, 9 yards a carry. For the year, he's up to almost 450 yards. So he's certainly a workhorse for us. with the number of carries that we give him in a game. It's if we gave him 25 carries in a game, he'd probably average 200 yards a game. But our offensive line blocks great for him, and our backs block really well for each other. I think we had, again, maybe 7 or 8 people carry the ball this week, and I think we're up over 400 yards rushing. So, again, great team effort running the ball.
And we don't have a whole lot of time to gloat. That Friday night's over. We got a game coming up Thursday. But we are 3-1. We're on the right track, and we've got West Side coming up Friday night. Not Thursday, Friday. The Renegades, they're 2-2. I think that record is not indicative of how good a team they are. They had solid wins over Liberty and Wyoming East. They've lost a couple games to Man and Tulsa, who are Man's coming up for single A. They're a playoff team. Tulsa's a playoff team from last year. So that's 2 tough teams they took losses to. So I'm expecting we'll have a pretty good dogfight Friday night down in Wyoming County.
Yeah, that's certainly what we expect. I mean, they have a tough place to play, number one. We got to go down there, and it's been an awful long time since we beat them down there, from what I've been told. And so our kids will have their hands full. They're a big, strong, tough team. They got big kids. They're physical. I think we have a little bit of a speed advantage maybe, but we got to be able to get our kids in those seams to be able to use that. We're going to step up, especially up front on offense and defensive lines. We've got to at least be even up there. We can't be playing in our backfield on offense and getting pushed off the ball on defense. And so that's stuff we've worked on this week and we'll continue to work on. Certainly Man is a solid team. Tulsa's a solid team. I mean, Tulsa's in the AA state finals last year. They lost a few kids obviously, but they're pretty good. Westside was right there with them most of the game. So we certainly will have a challenge this Friday, and I think our kids understand that, and I think they'll be ready to kind of accept that. And our goal is get in there and get after it and see what we can do.
So it's game number 5. We've had fantastic crowds. Our 3 home games, our away game. This is going to be a test for our fans because that's a long trip down to Wyoming, other side of Wyoming County. So we definitely want to get all the fans there we can. They have huge bleachers down there. They got lots of concessions. So it's going to be a football Friday night, high school football at its finest. And again, I think it's going to be one of the premier games in the area. So we definitely want to see a bunch of fans out Friday night. Bring it down to Wyoming County.
Certainly. One thing you can say, regardless of where you're from in Southern West Virginia, is I think everybody's aware that Wyoming County is a big supporter of high school athletics. Certainly, basketball and football are probably the 2 biggest. But regardless of how where their teams are in the year, their fans are going to come out. And certainly, we've done a great job this year so far, and I would challenge our fans to kind of continue to do that. It is a little bit of a trip. Everything's been either at home or pretty close here lately. So these guys would love to have all the support they can get there on Friday. It's been great, to have a loud crowd and hear everybody cheering, from the sidelines on Friday nights. And, we want that again. And these guys have worked hard. They deserve that. So certainly if you can make it down and you can make the trip, we'd love to have you. And you guys are just as big a part of this team as anybody else. We certainly these guys love playing for the community, and so come on out and watch these guys and see if we can't make it a 4-1 after Friday night.
Sounds good to me, Coach. We'll be right back with our junior running back Connor Gibson. All right, we're back on Patriot TV. We have Connor Gibson, junior running back, and plays both sides of the ball. We want to talk a little bit about the Shady game Friday night. Had a pretty good game yourself. Had 5 carries for 166 yards and a couple touchdowns. Had a 45-yard and an 88-yard run. Tell us about the 2 plays that you scored on the long plays, and just kind of how it opened up and what you saw on the field in front of you.
Well, on that first play, on the 80-yard run, I followed right behind Chase Mills, or it might have been Marcus Guy on that one. But they made a really good block, and it was all wide open field from there, so I just took it to the house.
The 45-yard one.
The 45-yard one, I kind of had to cut it up a little bit because there was a lot of penetration, and once I did that, I noticed the corner he was running in at me hard, so I just cut it out, and he had to turn his shoulder, so I just beat him outside and outran the safety to the end zone.
Did a little spin move there. One of those I remember coming out of through the backfield. It's one thing to have a good night. You know, every athlete likes to have a good night. But when you consider the week before, we all sit there and watch you get carted off the field in the ambulance. Man, we didn't know, what was wrong, and I know you didn't know what was wrong. It was obviously you were hurt and you ended up in the hospital, and I know they had to do some scans and all. Tell us about the injury that you had, and then kind of like when you felt like you were ready to play, because obviously you were ready to play come Friday night.
Well, it happened when I hit head-to-head to two other James Monroe linebackers, and I knew something wasn't right when I first hit, because it sent like a shock down my neck. I kind of laid there for a little bit, and I thought I was all right, and I tried getting up, but the trainers told me to stay down a little bit, just like so I wouldn't further injure anything else. And then later we got to the hospital, and everything ended up being all right. They said I sprained my neck, but I knew I was going to be able to play this Friday, and I'd say about Tuesday or Wednesday I thought I was good enough to play.
That's good. Well, and we're all glad you got to play, because we had enough other guys banged up that we're getting short on running backs. Like Noah Adams, you're a wrestler, All-State. You've won a state championship, and I know Noah told us last week that he felt wrestling prepared him mentally for football. What do you find as far as all the wrestling training you've done has enhanced your game on the gridiron?
Wrestling in general, just I feel like it makes everything easier, and it definitely helps with tackling. And when I'm running the ball, it's just because in wrestling you're trying not to get taken down, and when you're running the ball, you're trying not to get taken down, so it makes it a lot easier. And you got a better center of gravity, and you got good balance, and it just helps all around.
Well, it's shown between you and Noah. It's obvious that you guys are good at staying on your feet. We're 3-1. That's good news. We're back on the winning track after beating Shady. What do you guys? What do you know about West Side? Are you guys ready? What do you expect this Friday night?
I feel like we're ready for West Side. They're always a big physical team, but I feel like we can outrun them, and I feel like we're just as physical. But they're definitely going to be a tougher team, but I feel like we can pull through.
I think so too. I think we're going to be up for it. Hoping we have another strong night, and hope we have a big crowd out Friday night. Just tell our fans we want to see them out there Friday.
Oh yeah. You gotta love the fans, man. We always bring good numbers, and it's always good having y'all support us and stuff. And we all appreciate it.
So we've got West Side Friday night, 7:30 on the other end of Wyoming County. We need a big crowd out there Friday night. It's a big game. It's one of these games we've had marked on the calendar. We knew James Monroe was going to be a tough game. We've known West Side's going to be a tough game. That 2-2 record means nothing. So we need a big crowd Friday night, and we'll see you guys all there Friday night. Let's go Patriots!
Cover a fumble and a spool. Go.